Welcome back and welcome to our media panel. Media commentator Brian Edwards and listener columnist Bill Ralston. Now, here's something that might make you all feel a little peckish or not, as the case may be.
I want you to know that I care. I want you to know that I'm there.
Yes, the big news this week, McDonald's has unwrapped its plan to bring back a single Georgie Pie product at its burger restaurants. Piece of pastry filled with steak, mince and cheese, and it's been a big story for all the TV networks, including TV3 and the papers as well. Even before the announcement, the host of TVNZ Breakfast was tucking into the news. This is what Rawdon Christie had to say. Best not to tell the missus, but the real reason I made New Zealand my home was Georgie Pie. I'm already paranoid they won't be as good as 20 years ago. And here's TVNZ Breakfast before the announcement.
Well, it seems like we're back together. Georgie Pie, it shut down in '99 after it was bought out by McDonald's, but now it's coming back. Now, a formal announcement about where and when will be made later this morning, chowing down. But with me now is Drew Chappell, who helped make the documentary Bring Back the George in 2008. Thanks for coming in, Drew. This must be an exciting day for you.
It's an historic day.
Now, it is worth pointing out, of course, TV3 also covered this story and a number of papers did as well. Bill Ralston, it's a difficult one, I think, because it is something of a water cooler topic.
Sure, it is. And but there's a difference between news stories, Georgie Pie is coming back, and what you saw there on the breakfast show, which is product placement. It is, and I've been assured by senior sales executives in the past at TVNZ that they place products on that program to keep advertisers happy and to make sure advertisers actually advertise on their channel. It's outrageous that you could actually get such a blatant commercial plug for Georgie Pie, i.e. McDonald's, the big advertiser, in what's supposed to be a news and current affairs show.
Brian Edwards,
well, I can't be bothered with that nonsense that he's just been talking about. I mean, this is the most wonderful creation in the food line that I've ever come across. I'll tell you a brief story. We were doing up a house way out in Huapai. It was miles from Auckland. We'd work all day over the weekend. On the way back, we'd go to Georgie Pie, get a Georgie Pie, take it home, have some lovely creamy potatoes and some peas. Absolutely divine. And that's how people feel about Georgie Pie, which you, sadly, Bill, clearly don't understand. And so it's a marvellous thing. The other thing about it is, because we're a young country, and haven't got a very long history, we have this desperate need for icons in New Zealand. We have more icons per square inch than any other country in the world. And this is an icon. Unbelievable that may be. You know, potato can be an icon, a carrot can be an icon,
sort of think the silver fern or the kiwi or Sir Ed Hillary or something. I'm not sure, Georgie. But, well, different generation. I mean, in South Island, I don't really remember Georgie Pie when I was growing up. I had one, I think, in Hamilton. It was apple. What do you do if you're a vegetarian, by the way, with this product?
Well, you don't. I mean, one pie being introduced into a couple of outlets in Auckland, one in Hamilton. It's really McDonald's way of explaining the fact that they've been sitting on the rights to Georgie Pie for all this time, and it's a way of keeping their critics at bay.
OK, let's talk about the drink driving lists, because these are now going to be, we used to see them printed in our newspapers, these are now going to be, because of privacy issues, suppressed. You won't be able to find out who has been drink driving, who's been convicted.
I think the first thing I have to say about that is I don't quite understand this. My understanding always was if you're convicted of a crime in a court and providing your name hasn't been suppressed, that the news media are entitled to publish your name. So it's not clear to me what's going on here. But I agree with the people that say the name should be published. The only problem with that, of course, is that well-known people will get a completely different deal from people who aren't well-known. So Joe Bloggs from Timaru or whatever, nobody's heard of, it's not going to affect them quite so much. But well-known people will be really affected.
Yeah, if I was editing that newspaper, I'd publish and be damned. Let them try and take you on privacy.
Yeah, well, the
grounds.
Manawatu Standards really pushed its case on this. It's really been, you know, politicking to try and be able to name, here we can see it here, to keep naming those who are found drink driving. It is a pretty extraordinary development, isn't it?
I think the logic is quite correct. I mean, I think this is a deterrent. You know, once upon a time, if your name got in the paper because you've been found smoking heroin or whatever it might be, that was the worst thing that could happen. Drink driving now, I think, is probably considered worse by many people, and it's because of the publication.
OK. I want to talk too about Harry. Now, this is the new TV3 drama, $3.5 million from New Zealand On Air, platinum funded. Thank you very much. The first series, first episode went out on Wednesday night. Let's have a little look at it.
Vili mai pea o mai le tama I le fale. Wha mole mole. As soon as I hear from you, I will come and pick him up and then some police will come and search your house.
I think this is the first time we've heard unsubtitled Samoan being spoken on New Zealand television. There were a couple of scenes like this.
But you could understand it. I mean, the plot allowed you to understand it.
And a great cast. You have Oscar Kitely and you have Sam Neill. The Herald said top marks for style and substance here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it shows how much the New Zealand screen industry has matured. We can have a program like this, Harry. Before that, Blue Rose, that was another incredibly strong New Zealand drama. Top of the Lake, Jane Campion's film series. You know, we're producing really good television now. We used to make quite good movies and crap television drama, but now that the television side of the ledger has come right up to match what our strength is in film.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I watched it on my computer, which is not a good way to watch anything, and it was just riveting. I couldn't move away from it, in spite of all the horrible ads that were all the way through it, which was a bit strange. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm intrigued by the slight degree of sarcasm was in your voice when you talked about the 3.5 million. Thank you very much.
I wasn't sarcastic at all. I was genuinely grateful.
Oh, you were genuinely grateful.
Particularly as this
This
program is funded
program is
by it as
funded
well.
by New Zealand On Air.
Yeah, but of course,
Lovely
drama costs a huge amount
Yes.
to make drama.
Enormous. So this is six episodes. in this.
Yeah, and I'm with Bill. I mean, I thought this was up there with anything I've seen from overseas. We were hearing our own voices in a way we haven't heard them before. Marvellous stuff.
Yeah, why is it that TV cops are always so miserable, though? You don't get the laughing policeman on television, do you?
No,
I mean,
you
they're
don't as
always
well.
tortured souls.
And he's a classic, isn't he? Because he has all those problems. His wife apparently committed suicide and God knows what else.
And I think that what else people have been saying is that this does appear to be rooted in the real world. And if you think back to Once Were Warriors, and I remember, you know, living in the South Island, people say, well, that doesn't really happen. You know, people in the North would say, yeah, no, actually it does happen. But this is a series that is rooted in the real world because it deals with issues such as, you know, armed robberies
Well, it's
and
loosely based on real events. I won't
Yes,
mention
and
the
things
trial.
that we know are happening now. I mean, part of the plot there is his daughter is involved in a fight at school with another girl, and they filmed it. And this is what we're seeing all the time now, so it's amazing.
One of the stories that's really dominated the media for quite some days now, Aaron Gilmore, of course, the National MP who's found himself in a spot of bother. Cartoon in the Weekend Herald.
Yeah, well, this
I
is
know
the
Brian's
Weekend
taken it away.
Herald's cartoon from yesterday, and it says, waiter, one for the toad. And it's a really horrible cartoon. He looks awful. Look at this man laughing next to me. He has no heart. It looks awful. And imagine opening your newspaper and reading that about yourself. Now, he's not a man I would want as a friend. I think he's a prat. But this is beyond the pale in my view.
There is a bit of a hysterical media witch hunt going on here. Mainly, he's brought it upon himself by not giving full, frank, free confessions and apologies, and he's tried to evade and slide. But the man has committed, ultimately, no crime other than not perhaps telling his Prime Minister everything he should.
It's starting to feel a little bit awkward for me, I have to say, because at what stage he doesn't seem to think that he is going to walk away. What does the National Party do? And we keep seeing these emails and things leaked out. It's an awkward situation.
They'll continue to drip out. While he stays there, if he quit, no one would ever talk about him again. There would be no more revelations. I can guarantee you there's more stuff out there about Aaron Gilmore that's going to drop.
Well, additionally, Bill, I think his life will be a misery in there.
Oh.
I mean, he's going to go to caucus next week. I mean, what's that going to be like for him? I mean, how could you exist in that sort of atmosphere? That would be completely beyond me. But now we are seeing lynch mob stuff with this guy, and I don't think we need that.
What should the media do then? Because it's a story that you need to cover. Should they start focusing on senior MPs and the way the party president is handling this, or do they still keep going after Gilmore?
There has already been an attempt by Labor to refocus this onto an issue about John Key, his strength, or in this case his weakness, in not disposing of an MP. But you can actually look back to the last Labor government and see that, and when they were in opposition, their own inadequate efforts to actually get rid of some MPs.
I think in the bottom of my stomach, I'm starting to think that actually this is a man who needs a little bit of help and support.
I mean, this may be a hysterical thing to say in all of this, but I think if I had had this amount of publicity and this sort of cartoon that I've just shown, I might be getting near suicidal. And maybe that's all that will satisfy the media.
Super cool. All right, we have to leave it there. Brian Edwards and Bill Ralston, thank you this morning.